The other one is, it's a perversion of fitrah. Right? And that's part of what's happened in our culture, is that these anti-heroes, where the films now, they make the heroes the evil ones. There's a moral obligation in literature. If you read Shakespeare, all the bad guys get theirs in the end. None of them. Read Richard III. All right? They all get theirs in the end. Even a lot of the good ones, because of some tragic flaw that they have, like Othello. It brings them down, their hubris, or their jealousy, or their ignorance. Right? But this is consistent in all great literature. They do not glorify evil people. And that's one of the things about our culture that's deeply troubling, is the glorification of these anti-heroes. And that's clearly demonic. It's just simply coming from the demonic realm, because a lot of these artists are no longer working within any spiritual tradition other than an occultic spiritual tradition, a demonic spiritual tradition. So they're not providing moral edification in their stories. What they're doing is quite the opposite. They're corrupting the souls of young people that normally would not be inclined towards. But every actor knows the fun part is playing the evil guy. Even C.S. Lewis, when he wrote Screwtape's Letters, he said he could never do the angelic one because it was too difficult. The evil character is the default setting. That's the default set. That's why it's so easy for people to fall into vice, because it's the default setting. There's an amazing story of Imam Malik ibn Anas, radiallahu anhu. One of the emirs sent a poet to him who'd gotten into some dispute. And Imam Malik, he made his judgment. It's in the Tartib al-Madarik, Qadi Iyad's book. Imam Malik made his judgment. And the poet said to him, don't you know that this judgment, he didn't like what Malik judged. He said, don't you know this is going to get back to the emir? He said, yeah. He said, أَرْسَلَنِي لِتُصْلَحْ بَيْنَنَا. He sent me to you in order to rectify this situation. He said, وَاللَّهِ لَأَقْطَعَنَّكَ جِلْدَكَ هِجَاءً. You know, I'm going to flay you with some sarcastic poetry. Because he was a poet. And the Arabs know, if the poet gets angry, they do what's called hija. It's where you make fun of the person, you write sarcastic poems about them, and then they spread, and it's horrible. They did it to the Prophet ﷺ. So Malik said to him, وَصَفْتَ نَفْسَكَ بِالسَّفَاهِ وَالدِّنَاءَ. You've characterized yourself for me now with a type of shallowness and lowliness. وَهَذَا لَا يَعْجِزُ عَنْهُمَا أَحَدٌ. Nobody's incapable of doing that. You know, you're just showing that you're on a default setting. And then he said, إِنْ اسْتَطَعْتَ أَن تَفْعَلْ مَا تَنْقَطِعْ دُونَهُ الرِّقَابِ فَفَعَلْ الْكَرَمْ وَالْمُرُوءَةِ. If you're able to do something that heads are severed in its attempt, in trying to get there, you should do it. Nobility and dignity. Be a noble human being. And that's our tradition. The Prophet ﷺ was, he was a noble, he was the noblest. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The noblest of you, the most honorable, the most generous are the people that have this awareness of reality. And that's why he could march into Mecca and not go to the default setting. And you find this in people, you know, Ben Bradley, people know Ben Bradley, right? Who exposed Watergate. He brought down Nixon. He was the editor of the Washington Post. For when there's a documentary about him, and I was in boarding school when this was all happening, so I remember very vividly. I was actually in D.C. at the time. I was in Maryland. When Nixon resigned, the whole newsroom went up. They were just all shouting and rejoicing. He came in and he said, "Don't gloat." That's nobility. Don't gloat. You shouldn't be happy that we just brought down the President of the United States. This is our country. That's called shamata, when you're happy to see your enemy in a bad situation. Nobility is, you'd rather see them in a good situation. And you're sad that this is what it's come to. That's nobility. And that's our Prophet ﷺ. When he came in, what do you say I'm going to do to you? Akhun Kareem. Even though Akhin Kareem, you're a noble man, the son of a noble man. He said, Idhabu. لا تثريب عليكم اليوم. He said what Yusuf said to his brothers. لا تثريب عليكم اليوم. I find no blame in you today. اذهبوا أنتم الطلقاء. You're all free. That's who our Prophet ﷺ was. That's nobility. That's what the Muslims, that's our ideal. That's what we should be elevating ourselves, trying to achieve that. So it's important, right?